Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen wa sallallahu wa sallam ala nabiyyina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam. Amma ba'da, habati fillah. The question was asked, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I ask Allah to bless you and your family, Ustad, with goodness in this world and the hereafter, and to reward you for the benefits that you have benefited me. Ameen ya Rabbil Alameen wa iyyakum. I wanted to ask for some advice with regards to my situation right now. I'm 18 years old, about to turn 19. I'm currently seeking a 2-year diploma similar to a high school diploma. My dream, though, is to seek knowledge and move to the lands of the Muslims. The only problem is funding for that. I know I need to have funding for that and to stay in those lands. However, there are opportunities here with apprenticeships which will qualify me in a trade, grant me funding, and enable me to move overseas and stay there with stability, inshallah. The only thing is they are 4 years, and I fear I may be sacrificing important time where I could be seeking knowledge. I wanted to ask what your advice is for me. Jazakallah khairan. Wa iyyakum. So first and foremost, this is something that many people want to do. They want to go abroad and seek knowledge. And walillah alhamd, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made the path to knowledge that there are various ways, even in your own lands. However, nothing is like going to the lands of the Muslims and studying with major scholars and the ulama of Ahl Sunnah around the world. And so, with that being the case, one of the things that we need to consider, two things. First, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, إِنَّمَا أَعْمَالُ بِالنِّيَّاتِ وَإِنَّمَا لِكُلِّ امْرِئٍ مَّا نَوَى فمن كانت هجرته إلى الله ورسوله فهجرته إلى الله ورسوله ومن كان هجرته للدنيا يصيبها امرأة ينكحها فهجرته إلى ما هاجر إليه. أخرجاه. In the hadith in Bukhari and Muslim, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, verily actions are tied to the intentions, and everyone shall get that for what he intended. Therefore, he who migrates for Allah and His Messenger, then he is migrated for Allah and His Messenger. And he who migrates to take some woman in marriage or to gain some worldly gain, then he will get that for what he intended. And what's important here is it shows the importance of the niyyah, of the intention, which is one of the conditions for having any of our deeds accepted. So if you keep in mind that talab al-ilm is talab al-jannah, as the Salaf used to say, talab al-ilm, talab al-jannah, seeking knowledge is seeking paradise. If you keep that in front of you and always try to remind yourself that whatever you're doing should be for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that you're trying to strip away your ego, strip away your own desires and your nafs, even when you're refuting Ahl Bid'ah, and even when you are spreading knowledge, whatever the case may be, it should be for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, not to please yourself, not to make yourself big, not to get in with the in crowd. Okay, and that even comes with seeking knowledge. So it's very difficult, and it's a constant battle until you're in the grave, the intention. So first and foremost, make your niyyah, which it sounds like you already have this strong intention, and now you're trying to make preparation. And also remember, the second point I was going to mention is that inna khayra zad taqwa, is that verily the best provision is taqwa, is God fearfulness. Meaning that you adhere to the commandments of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and you avoid the prohibitions. And that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, with that, and if your intention is sahih, to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and lift ignorance from yourself and maybe spread that khair to others, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bi'idnihi will grant you that opportunity. And it may not come how we want it. It may not come according to our plan and according to our schedule. But if you make the intention and you strive your utmost, you don't know what kind of opportunity Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will open for you. Now, my advice in general is that you should at least definitely have some money to do it. I don't advise people just to get a ticket and go, as we did in our days. And and some people were successful. Walillah alhamd, the law provided for them, and they knew people, and people gave them money. But it's definitely better to have your own money and to be able to extend your stay. And for many of us, even if we worked hard and we saved, and this is how I began. I saved my money, sold my car, did all these things that and because I just wanted to learn more about Islam. It was time, I felt the desire. And Allah provided that path for me. But again, I wasn't really ready for that kind of more extreme environment, because then it was a much different time, especially in places like Yemen. It wasn't a comfortable place. I used to see hyenas at night and things like this when in Damaj. So it was a very different time. There was no internet. There was none of that stuff. And, that takes patience. So that's the third point is patience. So what do I say about your situation is keep your eyes open for opportunities. Strive to get your money. Fear Allah as much as you can. Keep your intention pure. And begin the process. Don't think about decisions, but begin the process by starting your trade. If you find out that during part of the process you get another opportunity, then great. Another opportunity to go study. If you get an opportunity to go to a university that gives you a scholarship. So my advice at your young age is to be applying for the next 4 to 5 years. Every year, apply to get to the Islamic University in Medina. Apply to Al-Qura in Mecca. Apply to Jamiat al-Imam Ibn Saud in Riyadh. Apply to all those universities. I think even Jamiat Taiba maybe in Medina. And some, Jamiat Malik Abdulaziz, I used to work at both of those universities, and they both, have some little programs, Arabic program, I think now at Jamiat Malik Abdulaziz in Jeddah. But anyway, I would apply to all of those while you're doing your trade. And if the opportunity comes up, you can interrupt your trade because you're still young. You can come back and finish your education. It doesn't have to have ta'arud. I know some very strong students of knowledge and sheikhs, you could say, in our societies that are educated in both. They got their college, university, and they got accepted in Jamiat Islamiyah, and they did both, and Allah's favored them, so that way they have many tools. I know one brother got his master's in Jamiat Islamiyah, and he was well qualified before he got into the university, in finance, and now he's an expert, in essence, in Islamic finance and those things. And he's a graduate of Jamiat Islamiyah, the masters, on the master's level. So they don't have to disagree with one another and have ta'arud. They don't contradict one another, especially when you're at such a young age. So I would advise you to keep doing your school, look for those opportunities, apply to the universities, because you can also, even when you finish, you can come back and do studies if you want to get a more secular degree that's going to help you with your livelihood, or you may find opportunities overseas. But I just see in my experience that the opportunities are becoming less in many of the Muslim countries to really to grow, to go forward, to be able to do what you need to do. And especially when you get a family and stuff, you have more expectations. You have more needs, especially for children. So I would say that those are some of the ways that you can do it. So I would say to do both. Apply to those universities right now, or as soon as you finish. You have to finish your high school. That's a condition for all those universities. Even there are some brothers that are from Ahl Sunnah that are studying in the program in Egypt, in Al-Azhar, I think, or related to Al-Azhar. But they are Salafi in their Aqidah. So those kind of brothers in those situations, because not all the professors there are Ashari, but they just have to be careful, but they get a scholarship and they're on their path. So Allah has favored them, and that way they can study. They're learning their Islam, the Arabic language, and they're going forward in their Quran, and then they're going to get into Sharia and other beautiful sciences. So this is a great ni'mah min ni'amillah. There's also many other countries around the world you can look at opportunities. So my advice is to network. Use those social media things to find out where other Salafis are studying to find out other opportunities. I've heard of different things in Indonesia. Ethiopia is opening a university. It definitely won't be a Salafi university. It'll probably be run by Ikhwan Muslimin, but at least the subjects there will be, will be subjects you can benefit from, as long as you, make sure you take your outside knowledge or what have you from Salafis, so that way you don't get, distorted in your methodology of dawah. And so there are many places in Morocco. A lot of people have posted in the comments about Morocco and stuff like this. There's places, Dar al-Hadith, I hear in Maghrib, and other countries. So my advice is the world is open, and especially when you're young, this is the time to go forward. It makes it much easier. So I say look for those opportunities while you're doing your trade. So that way you're not wasting any time and you're going in one direction, you're going forward. And then you can decide later if that's what you want to do. You want to make hijrah, or, I say keep it open for talab al-ilm first and foremost, and try and see what it's like living in other nations, because you don't want to make your intention and then end up breaking your intention or something like this. And we ask Allah the Almighty to accept our good and forgive our evil. Wa sallallahu wa sallam ala nabiyyina Muhammad.